But yeah, the ayahuasca really makes you evaluate fucking everything. It's just the fucking medicine. We have this joke about how, like, well, how did this stuff come from indigenous people? Like these people in the jungle, like that, you know? They don't live with modern capitalism and society breathing down their neck. You have to go to work, you have to get all this done. We have this romanticization. Oh God, fucking A. We have this romanticization of indigenous cultures. And in that realm of the ayahuasca or shamanism or whatever you want to say, their connection with nature, they're still humans. We're all humans and we all have stuff that fucks us up. And when you remember that, you can see this common ground. Or it doesn't matter what culture you're from. It doesn't matter what your beliefs are. It doesn't matter if your villages or your society does monogamous marriages forever, the nuclear family, or you all share sex and children. I use that as an example because it's like, I feel like of all the homogeny of culture that's happened in the world, let's say in 2,000 years, monogamy and the way we shape families is one of them that I think has been the most prevalent from the fundamental level. Even how we eat, a lot of cultures eat differently. Not everyone just does 3 meals a day. A lot of them do 2. Not so many people are foragers anymore, I guess, but there's still yogi people out there, even with the new age cultures coming around. We're a culture too. The way we eat, the way we do things. So culture is just such a fucking drastic thing, and even the way we do sex is so cultural and romance. So yeah, when you have a chance to evaluate any of that and see who you are in that realm, that's where the ayahuasca medicine comes in. It's human medicine. It works for everyone. It doesn't matter. It's not about, oh, I have too much stress living in the city. I gotta go to ayahuasca a couple times a year. Like, no. Even people living in the jungle, they have human things go on. It's human relationship stuff. Who knows? And to think, for you to ever understand that on a real conscious level is in a way that you could share with me in a language we share. To go live with those people for a long fucking time, learn the language, and even then, if you weren't a child, if you weren't like having your brain developed, dude. That's a crazy thought, to think of how humans just share pain and suffering and challenges. So the ayahuasca, the Yagé, is a fantastic ceremonial tool for communities to just kind of connect over. We're all going through something. It's different for every person, but in some ways it manifests in our identity the same way. God, I'm fucking tripping out from that stuff. Sometimes it happens too when I have too much CBD. Once I smoked a CBD joint in Santa Cruz, California. I was like, yeah, it's CBD, I could just smoke it like a joint. I hardly smoked half of it. And it was like this. I was actually like this in bed for hours to the point where my heart was beating so fast. I'm like, dude, am I gonna OD or something? And I was just breathing and I was like, dude, I had legitimate fears, like something could be wrong. And I was just lying there. I'm like, if there's any time to practice what you believe in, it's right fucking now. Fucking breathe. Focus that everything's okay. And don't lose that focus. If you lose that focus, you're fucked. For all you know, you could die because your heart's beating all fast. That's kind of what happens in the ayahuasca too. When it's a powerful trip, which my first one predominantly was, I had to just stay focused because when I let go of my consciousness, when I let myself just be like, fuck it, I have to die because this is too hard, I'm cold, and or I'm on a hammock and I should be sitting, but my hips are too tight to sit and there's nowhere comfortable to be. And I'm tripping out and I'm seeing things and it's not comfortable and I want to vomit, and if I want to vomit I don't want to like get up when I'm cold. All these fucking excuses. I'm so fucking lazy. I want to escape. So I just like, can't I fall asleep, you know? Like, can't I just have it be over? No. That medicine, it's all night. It's all night. Fuck. And that night went on forever. I took the first cup, right? The shaman does the whole thing. Talks to everyone. And then he calls you up. Like, okay, here's your cup. And he was giving everyone like little shot glasses. Like tiny bit. And then I get up. And he knew it was my first time, because it was just the first time. And then I go up. And he gets a spoon out and goes into a different bowl. And he fucking takes out this like fucking goo, like melted Tootsie Roll, I don't even know, and gives it to me. And I was like, he thinks I'm a fucking weak sauce. He thinks I can't handle it because it's my first time or something. I had that kind of egoic response. And I was like, man, I wish I could just take what everyone else was taking so I would know. That was before I understood what shamanism was. It wasn't until that night when I understood what a shaman actually did. Because my experience with psychedelics has always been on my own. Or with a friend or two long ago, or with a lover. But that's a completely different experience than being in a community setting where you're all in your own thing, but you're all there together in the energy of it. And that's what it turned into. So I took he gives me the spoon, and I fucking eat it, and I'm like, whatever. And then I'm lying in the hammock. I chose the hammock because I knew I wouldn't be able to sit all day on the yoga mat all night. I have trouble sitting for 20 minutes. And yeah, I laid on the hammock, and there were only two, right? So I'm laying on the hammock, and then after everyone gets their bit, everyone just kind of chills for like an hour. And later, some people told me that's when they sleep. They take like a nap. Because you're not supposed to have coffee that day, you're not supposed to eat, so like you're tired by that point. It's like well past sunset, and you're all getting started. Because you know you got to go till sunrise, so like there's no real rush to get started. Because it also could be a boring night. I tripped out that night, because that was like where I was at, and honestly no one else tripped out that night. I was fucking freaking out. I freaked the fuck out. But I was the only one that did. And everyone else, I kind of told them the next day, they kind of had an idea that I was having an experience, but they didn't realize like how crazy it was. Even though I blatantly tripped out and I freaked out. I was that person that freaked out, and I felt kind of embarrassed while it was happening. But there was nothing I could do at that point. I was like, I have to fucking freak out right now. But yeah, that's the point, is everyone has their own individual experience, and it supports everyone else. That's the point of the community aspect of it, where everyone is here. Like if you're a couple, like they don't recommend you do it as a couple your first few times because you might want to support your partner. Like, oh, they're having a time. No, you just you're there, but you're not there in the physical together with anyone. You just have like this reflection of what's happening there on the physical, but it's all happening down below for everyone at different kind of paces. So we're laying down after the first cup and my first spoonful, and then I started to see some things, and it's a lot like mushrooms, but kind of like with ants at the edges of the Fibonacci spirals, almost like every ayahuasca art I've ever seen, or those like GIF ones where they spiral. I don't know. It was a lot like all the ayahuasca art I've ever seen, so that was cool. And I was seeing it, and I was like, whatever, this is like a mushroom trip. Like, I could probably go to sleep right now, and that'd be great, because I'm tired and I'm grumpy. I was a couple weeks after a breakup of my main project last year. Like, everything I was doing for the last year revolved around a relationship I was kind of investing myself in, and that had just ended indefinitely. I was coming after that. I think I pulled my back out with something. I didn't have a lot of money, and I wasn't staying anywhere. Every 3 days I was going to a new fucking jungle house, working on a new video, and it was really hard to stay positive, and blah, 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 blah. So I was going through a lot of shit, and that's why I was escaping a lot into television, I found some weed at that point. And I had a conversation once, and he was like, weed's cool, everything's cool, watching TV is cool, just make sure you're not doing it to escape. Make sure you're doing it as a recreational activity, something fun. When it just becomes an act of just escaping from the present moment because the present moment is boring or too difficult to deal with, which is what boring is, just being too difficult to deal with, right? I don't feel like dealing with this because it's lack of stimulation. So I'm like, this is weak sauce. I'm not stimulated enough. I'm bored. Ayahuasca is some weak ass shit. And then I said that, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe it's a bad idea. You know, you wanted to do this. You've waited years to fucking do this. You're here. It's good people. You know, like, and right as I was starting to think that, the shaman asked, okay, does anyone want a second cup? And I was kind of like, I could fall asleep right now. I could fall asleep, and I could just, this could be easy. And instead I was like, no, like, you wanted to do this. Like, just do it. And just fucking do it. Don't be a pussy, Jordan. Come on. And so I was like, okay. So I got up and I took the cup. And he kind of gave me like a, I don't know. The shaman was cool in the sense that he doesn't single you out. Like, it feels like the shaman knows. The shaman knows exactly where you're at. Once you've taken that, even I felt that way when he gave me this. I'm like, wait a minute. He has a better idea of where I'm at than I thought. Like, I'm not just projecting this. And yeah, by the end of the trip, I knew, dude, this guy is on our fucking wavelength. But I'll get there. So yeah, I took the second cup. And it was probably right after that. I fucking needed to go vomit, diarrhea. And normally what happens is you take one dose, and then it's kind of like a couple hours, maybe less, maybe more, depending on your stomach, the energy of that fucking night. Then you have your come up where you're fucking tripping. And then you gradually come down, and then that's it, pretty much. Now, depending on your sensitivity, there might be more waves, but you basically have one big wave. Now, how long that wave lasts, or how long that wave feels like it fucking lasts, you can't say, and it doesn't even matter. But the point is there's one wave, and if you know what a psychedelic, the wave is, the peak, it's where you're fucking tripping, where everything is so fucking magical, but at the same time, everything is so fucking potentially hellish. So you have to be like, you're kind of in both worlds at once. And sometimes you're going back and forth from both worlds at once. And that's what kind of makes a trip, is how easily it comes to you to just, you know, be in the one and then see that craziness and be like, oh, this is actually beautiful. And then you're there and oh my god, this is so beautiful. I'm a fucking monster on the inside, but it's because I'm a little boy and I never learned to communicate myself when I'm upset. Oh my god, I'm a little fucking boy. Oh, I'm so embarrassed about that. But it's beautiful because now you have a chance to learn and you have a chance to get better and you have a chance to grow. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. This is beautiful. Oh my god. And then suddenly your heart opens and then like you're like getting lost into it and you're like, this is beautiful. And then these little pieces of beautiful everywhere start to get you into it, and then you start to think about that beautiful. And then you start to think, oh, you're not good enough for that beautiful because of X, Y, or Z. You never do that, or that person fucks it up. And then you start to get into that thought, like, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, there's something wrong. And then, depends on your trip, depends where you're at, depends what's going on. Maybe it goes on for a long time in pain. Maybe it goes a long time for joy. Maybe you stay right in between to a long time to where you're suddenly finding yourself in this long spiral pattern. Yet it's not a pattern, it's completely chaotic. But it's just a spiral pattern. You start to realize this is a double helix. This is like two vines, which are necessary to create the ayahuasca compound. Climbing up a tree. This is like DNA. I'm fucking in my DNA right now. All these feelings and thoughts I'm having regarding who I am and the little boy that never learned and how I'm not good. I'm here right now. I can turn this into a perception of abundance right now. Normally it's just this second, and then what's normally? I'm coming back to my body, I start to zoom out. Normally it's an exercise, I have to be conscious, I have to work. The DNA is right here for me to shift it. And I start to come out, and then suddenly there's this music going on. And I'm just like, there's DNA, I can change it. And then the flute's playing, and the shaman's doing the click thing. And it's really trippy when he's doing it. I can't fucking do it. And this is so... You're beyond thinking at that point. You're just fucking coming out of that spiral. And for me, coming out of that spiral, I realized I was coming out of it because I was screaming. I was like, it started really low. Oh, oh, oh. And I realized that music was pulling me back. I heard that music before I heard myself screaming. The groan that turned into a scream. I came in as it was a scream. And the music was so calm and beautiful and soothing. And it was there with me. And it held me. And then the sounds of the jungle, the cicadas, the crickets, the whatever the fuck was in the jungle. This is really peaceful. And suddenly I can see again. And everything's pixelated. The hammock I was on literally stretched a mile forward. I don't know where my feet ended. The hammock was going on forever. And I'm like, did I get up and move? Am I in a different... Where the fuck am I? Is this the same house I was at before? I couldn't move. I was just seeing. And then suddenly I recognized the router, which was above the rafters, like on the rafter where the hammock connected. I recognized the router, because of course I had to reset that a couple times while I was at that farm. And not during the trip, but before. Okay, I'm in the same spot I was when I left, because that's where the router is. And slowly the dimensions started to come back in, but it could have taken an hour, 2 hours for all I knew. And then suddenly everyone started singing, and everyone was happy. And people started singing together, and other people started playing music. And I was just bawling, and I realized, like, this is what life is. There's abundance of happiness. This is what's possible. Look at us all together. This doesn't need to be medicine. This is simply us choosing to see something a certain way or not. We could all just be here playing music and being happy. Choosing to sit around the fire, or just lay here all night and say, hey, we're not gonna sleep. Fuck it, whether we're drinking ayahuasca or not. We're all just fucking communing together. We're just fucking being together. No expectations, no culture, none of that. And ayahuasca is this fucking drink to bring all those people together for that night. You can apply that to alcohol. I'm not going to take anything away from alcohol for that reason. And that's why I used to love alcohol, because that's the way I came together with people, was alcohol at the party, this and that. But alcohol inevitably just leads to more sticky situations that are dangerous. It's not that I don't want to say ayahuasca's... I don't want to say that ayahuasca is not dangerous, because there's probably a potential for anything, like walking off a cliff or something like this, but the container is so safe. You're all there, the shaman's there doing his blessing. It's almost like you create this bubble, this dome, and nothing on the outside that doesn't belong will show up. Nothing will show up. Even if some wild animal shows up, it's there with you. It was meant to be there. So that sounds crazy if you've never done it, or if you're a materialist, but that's kind of how it is. Anyway, it's probably a lot safer than alcohol. That's just my opinion. But yeah, coming together and just being there. So I said that I freaked out, right? Besides the scream, I freaked out hardcore. And this was before all of that super peaking. So let's back up. I first took the putty that I thought was weak. It was actually like 10, not 10, I don't know how many times stronger than the drink. So the second thing was the drink. So what happens is you get one wave per dose. But with the putty, you might get multiple big waves because it's a different thing. It's a different concentrate. So normally with the cup, the shot, you get one thing and then some waves. But with this, you get fucking crazy. And so I had that, and it was taking time. And then by the time that kicked in, pretty much the second shot I took was also kicking in. So while it was going up, and it should have started eventually going down, it just fucking kept spiking. It reminds me of like fucking bull market, like in cryptocurrency trading. You see it's spiking up, and then suddenly it crashes. But no, another spike, another pump. You think, oh, here comes the dump. Nope, they're still pumping it. It's funny how my analogy is fucking market. So that's what happened. So around the time, I think the DNA thing was the second. It was the final, like, super peak. I still kept peaking for hours, but that was the final, like, uncomfortable thing. But before that, I had to get out of my body, right? That's a big part of the psychedelics, is you have to go through your body and the shit going on inside your body. And then your mind, and then your spirit, and whatever. So I was cold. My back wasn't good in the hammock. It was fucking cramping up. And you feel shitty anyway on the ayahuasca. Not shitty, but you want to vomit. You purge. You go into diarrhea. It like squeezes the stress out of your muscles. I don't know this shit is crazy. But you feel so amazing tomorrow. The second ceremony I did, nothing happened. No psychedelic effects. I had 3 of the cups. No psychedelic effect whatsoever. It was boring. But that was the point of that trip, was I just had to learn to just be bored and just fucking make the most of it and just enjoy the time and the music. But I still vomited, and I still shit, and the next day I still felt like $1 million fucking dollars. But back to this first trip. So I take the other shot, I'm cold, and so I try to get out, right? I try to like lay on the ground, on the yoga mat, because I'm okay, the hammock is fucking my shit up. And I'm trying, and it's not working. And then I need to vomit, and I have to I'm like weak, and I go vomit again. And then I'm trying to come back, I just can't. So I just lay at the edge. I try to find, if I eventually get up, I'm like, this isn't safe and it's cold. I try to find more blankets, and I'm on the ground, and then someone comes over and sits in my hammock. And so I'm okay, I can't even get up back to the hammock if I need to. And so I'm like laying on the ground, going out, and then I'm like, and then one of the, not facilitators, but one of the more experienced women there that was there with that community often comes by, is everything okay? And I was like, hey. She's like, is everything, are you okay doing? And I'm like, I'm cold. What? I'm so cold. She goes, okay, I'll see what I can do. And if I were her, I would have laughed, right? But so she goes upstairs or whatever, and upstairs in the treehouse, and I don't know. She comes back, and she had a scarf, a thin sarong scarf. She was like, this is all I could find. She's like, well, why don't you go by the fire? It's warm over there. So I'm like, okay. And by this point, for me at least, I was seeing things. I couldn't move. I was cold. I thought if I didn't get warm, I was gonna fucking get some pneumonia. And I was thrashing around, and I was just like, man, all the people sitting around me right now are probably like, this guy's tripping, but I need to get warm. I was also crying. I think there was a certain point on the yoga mat where I was just I'm cold, and there's bugs on me, because I was trying to get warm on the yoga mat, and I fell off of it, and I was in the dirt. So I'm there's dirt, and I look at my mouth, and there's ants crawling on me, and I'm cold. I just wanted to die. I wanted to curl up and fall asleep, but I couldn't, obviously. And I just wanted to escape. I just wanted to cry, and I realized this is what I am in life. I just want to escape when it's too tough. And I just cried, because I didn't even want to say well, I can get better, I can grow. I was just I don't want to. It's too much fucking work. I don't want to learn how to work. I don't want to learn how to be responsible for my own action. It was that deep. It was that deep where I just wanted to die and surrender into it. I couldn't die. I couldn't surrender into it. And I was cold as fuck. So I told her I was cold. She probably it didn't work. And finally she's like, go to the fire. And I was like, okay. I couldn't walk. So I was crawling. And my crawling was super careful, because they lived in this tree house. Sorry, I don't know if the camera caught that. Because it was in this tree house with a pool and this wooden deck, and then no railing or anything, just a shoot off. The deck was lifted. And then there's a pool, and then here's the area where most of us were, but then the fire is next in front of the pool. So literally, if I was walking and I lost my balance, I could either fall in the cold water, which I did not want. or I could fall off the edge and potentially seriously injure myself. So I was crawling to make sure everything was cool because I didn't want to be that guy that fell off the edge on the ayahuasca trip. Which I don't think would happen, actually, with a good shaman and with the good group, because I think the energy contains itself like that. Like, if you were going to fall, the right person would be there right there to be like, hey, are you okay? So I try to go over the fire, but there's like girls all around it and there's no room. And everyone's clearly in their own zone. And I knew, and they were all girls, right? And I knew I was tripping balls. And I was like kind of afraid of judgment. And I was thinking, I don't want to bother these people, but I might die here if I don't get warm. And I just like didn't know what to do. I didn't want to bother anyone, but I could tell when I showed up, I made them stir. Like they felt they felt a shift in the energy when fucking the tripping out guy shows up. So I show up, and then there's a woman there, and she's like, oh, hey, are you gonna sit here now? I'm like, I don't know, I'm just so cold. She's like, yeah, it's pretty cold. How's it going for you? This is your first time, right? And she's like normal, and I'm like, it's pretty tough. How about you? She's like, oh, I don't really feel anything. I'm like, oh, well, you can't tell that I'm feeling something? She's like, oh, I don't know. Like, wasn't. So here I was in my own world thinking that everyone could tell that I was tripping out, but apparently no one else knew that. Anyway, she asked if she could go in the hammock. I said no. Someone got in the hammock. So, oh, okay. And I was cold, and I was just like, this isn't going to work. So the energy was different. I felt safe for some reason where I was before on the hammock and on the floor next to it, because there were, I think, all the experienced people there, and girls and guys, and I think I just felt safe around them. Like they were the rocks while I was just like this pinball fucking getting shot around by my inner spirit. So anyway, I saw the hammock, the gut person left, so I was like, I'm going back to my hammock. And then I went back on, and that's when I found a flap to get warm and keep the air out. They had told me that indigenous people have been sleeping in, the local ones had been sleeping in hammocks for hundreds of years, hammocks just like that. And I'm like, how? At altitude? Fucking cold shit. But then this time I get in there, I find the flap. So I can actually cover like my face, everything but my eyes. And I can breathe in my nose, so I can breathe. I'm not sure if I was breathing through my nose or my mouth, but I was breathing. So that's when I got up there. And that's when I finally started to feel safe and warm. And I wrapped everything around me, and I was like, okay, I'm safe now. As soon as I was safe, that's when I started to feel how much I was tripping. And it's like, okay, see if you can surrender now. And that's when I started to, like I said, I was judging myself. I was thinking everyone else was judging me. That's when I started to not feel good enough. That's when I started jumping from, good peak, bad peak, good trip, bad trip, And I kept going into that I'm not good enough, or I never fucking learned to communicate as a kid, so I'm still fucked up. And then like dwelling on that. And like I said, the whole theme was fucking taking control, taking responsibility, and just being strong. And if I wasn't taking responsibility and I wasn't being strong about it, I was wimping out and freaking out. So around this time, I'm freaking out, not freaking out, warm, soft. And I think what happens with the medicine is it wears you out. And I think what you're tripping out about is literally what your body is going through as a purge. It just happens at a different time. So your body purges, and then your spirit purges, your mind purges. Maybe for some people it happens at the same time. I don't know. For me, that's kind of how I interpreted it. Is I didn't start tripping until after I at least vomited. And every time I would vomit, I would feel more after. It's almost like you're more sensitive to it after you vomit. So, and or shit. Yeah, so I end up in my DNA. I come to, and I'm screaming, and then they're singing around me. And then and they're not singing, but they're playing and when I stopped screaming, they kind of bring the song down. And I was like, oh, I kind of want to keep listening to that song. It was beautiful. But it's because everyone's on the same wavelength. Like, the shaman knows when someone's tripping out and knows when it's time to bring you back. I was so deep into my DNA, while at the same time being far off into the cosmos, that when I came back, slowly but surely, the only thing that was still there to bring me back was music. That was the only vibration that can reach that far. Because I can't see anything. I'm finally warm and comfortable, so I was able to leave my body. Like, the ayahuasca exhausts you. I think lots of psychedelics do this in their own way, if it's a successful trip. Like, one of my first real mushroom experiences, maybe my only real, like, hero's dose, where you have to die and just surrender it. And for me, I literally had to surrender to dying because I had all these stomach cramps. Everything was so bad. My friends that took the same tea, psilocybin tea as me, didn't have any problems. But I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking dying. I just had to die. And as soon as I did that, I was gone for a while. There were no thoughts. There were only these visuals. And every time I thought about what I was seeing, it would kind of bring me back. And then I realized, you know what? I don't have to be me right now. I can just go. It's cool. So I had experienced that before. So with the ayahuasca, after all this vomiting, this and that, I finally was just gone. And that's when I fucking screamed and recognized all that. So then after that, and they're all playing music, I'm still tired. And I vomit a few more times, and I'm still tripping. And I wanted to just be like, oh, and just surrender to it and go. But I knew at that point that that wasn't being strong. Because it was beyond the point of like looking into myself and seeing those. I was so tired and so fatigued that I knew any slipping away would just go directly to somewhere that needed to fix itself, but anything I would experience would be the form of fucking demons. Fucking demons. And I just didn't want to deal with that. That's what I was telling myself, right? I have no fucking clue what would have happened if I just disappeared. Maybe the same thing would have happened. The point was I felt like I got what I needed out of it, and I started to realize what the lesson was, which is you need to take responsibility, take control, don't be a pussy. And sorry, don't be a set of balls, rather. Balls are much more sensitive than pussies. I read that in a meme, and I highly agree with it. And I also am sorry for using that term, being a pussy. I don't agree with talking like that. There's no reason. But I am a Western male, and I come from a certain culture that uses a certain vocabulary, so that's how I express things. So there I was. They started playing music, everything's happy, but I still can't move. And it became an exercise of just focus on something. And I remembered what one of my Polish friends that was there at the ceremony told me before. He's like, whenever you start to feel lost, come back to your breathing and come back to your intention. Always come back to your intention. Always come back to your intention. And my intention was clarity. I wanted some clarity on why life was so hard at that time and why things were so tough for me to handle. And clarity was very clear. It was very clear. Take responsibility. Just take control of yourself, and it's cool. But stop just trying to hide. So the clarity had come, and so it came back to my breathing. And so a lot of the rest of the night just became an exercise in my breathing, but I would want to keep my eyes closed. But then when I kept my eyes closed, I'd leave somewhere. So I'm like, wow. But I'd stop focusing on my breathing with my eyes closed, and I'd just go somewhere, and I'd have to catch myself. But with my eyes open, it was easier, but I was so tired. So I also just find. So I thought, okay, keep your eyes closed, but just focus hard on your breathing. Focus hard on your breathing. Couldn't do it. Then I started to stare at a star, and I realized it was a planet. I think it may have been Saturn. I'm not sure why I think that, but I was staring at some star or some planet, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go there because I can right now. I'm just gonna stay. Well, no, I didn't learn this till after, but what I should have done is had an intention to stay in myself, breathing, while staring at this star. So you stay fully grounded, so you can stay cognizant, and you stay kind of real with yourself while you're there. What I probably closer to did was just let myself go. And once you let yourself go, it doesn't matter what your intention is. It's probably not going to happen. It's going to happen, but it's not going to be... How do I explain this? Like in life, you want to have intention, a general intention. I intend to make other people's life better on the planet by being alive, as opposed to worse, or as opposed to not doing anything. My intention for myself is to, in general, try to enhance people's life in some way, shape, or form, even if it's very, very minuscule. And when I'm ignoring a beggar on the street, or when I don't feel like giving someone the time of day because they're ignoring me, that's not me living up to my intention, right? So I that's my intention, because it's something I have to work on. But it makes a lot of sense to me, because when I'm doing that, I'm a very happy person. So so that's the general intention. But then when there's an intention with like a project, or like almost like a goal, like there's an outcome you want to see. So I had a goal at that point, which was I want to heal and I want to explore and I want clarity, but I need to do it here with myself. So some thoughts on the matter that I had later were the medicine's going to heal you no matter what. So the exercise becomes, the more you can stay present with yourself as that's happening, the more powerful your experience is going to be over the medicine. And I don't mean to make like a fight analogy there, but there are shamans out there. This is what they say. There are medicine men that drink ayahuasca every day. They live in the jungle. I don't know if they just wander the jungle. I don't know. This is like the lore, like the yogis that levitate and walk on water and survive off of sunlight, that kind of lore. The South American lore is that there are shamans that only brew and drink ayahuasca and just walk around or whatever. And I think, when I think of that, I think, wow, these dudes must be present as fuck. Because to have all that in your blood and not just become one with everything, it's DMT. It's dimethyltryptamine. It's like the only thing that can so quickly and so powerfully with so little just have you disconnect completely from your conscious material reality. Right? So it's like, it's fucking powerful shit. And you're just fucking constantly got that going on. And it's purging you and it's making you kind of, and you're just doing it every day. You gotta be one present motherfucker. And some of my friends that have been doing it every weekend for fucking years. And yeah, they were present as fuck. They inspired the hell out of me. They were so motivated. They were always so happy and friendly. There was never, those people that are always happy and friendly, and you can tell, like, they have their bad moments and it's ugly. I'm one of those people. I can be happy and friendly, but dude, my bad moments are ugly. And I don't hide them. When I have bad moments, but these people, their bad moments were ugly to me, because when I started to see what their bad moments were, but they weren't ugly. They still were so full of love in their bad moments. I can be not full of love in my bad moments. I can be such a fucking dick. But no, they were incredible, and it goes to show what that medicine can actually do long term. So that's how I saw it. I thought, okay, my lazy self wants to just escape into the pleasures or the miseries of this medicine right now by being lazy. No, I'm going to learn what I need to learn from it and take control, take responsibility. So the rest of that night, I just focused in. I disappeared into the planet, caught myself before it was too far, and all night I couldn't just focus on something and myself. It was just too much. I just focused on myself. I think what I meant to say was that with the intention, you have your daily general intention that you can float in, but with a project and a goal, you want to be anchored. You want to be grounded as an anchor for it, so you have something to go back to. That's what is the dimensional difference between intentions and goals. Yeah, there was definitely THC in that vaporizer. I think I might hit it again. What a trip that night was, man. What a trip. And then my origin. Okay, but it's not over yet. I think it was Saturn or whatever planet I was staring at. I disappeared into it. And I came back again, not quite with a shout, but with a groan. And at that point I realized I need to create. I need to create something right now. And the only thing I could possibly do to create was sing and dance. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, how is dancing creating anything? And I'm also thinking to myself that right now. But at the time, it's exactly what I felt. I need to create. It needs to be sing and dance. And dancing, I guess you're kind of creating movement, creating motion, creating prana perhaps. And I wasn't breathing strong enough. I wasn't able to focus, so I wasn't maybe creating that much prana. I needed to move. I couldn't fucking move. I had no strength, but I did it. And I get up, and I walk over to shaman and where all the musical instruments are, and I say, necesito hacer música. No. Necesito hacer sonidos. Necesito crear sonidos. Necesito crear. I need to make sounds. I need to create sounds. I need to create. And I was so far gone from language, it came out okay. And they hand me a drum. And everyone could tell I'm in my fucking moment right now. I was on stage. It was a fucking theater. I was fucking gone. This was the only thing I could do to not be in a personal hell. So I'm like, okay, they hand me the drum. And I gave it to him, and my Argentinian buddy, and I'm like, un ritmo. And so he starts making a beat. And then maybe someone else had a pan drum or something. I may have been just that, but I started just singing, es un ritmo, con la música, with the music, it's a beat. And then I just started to let myself just flow. Now, I've been in musical flow states before, but never in one that was actually like a fucking spell, a charm, a mantra, a chant. I was creating magic with my mouth. And so I was doing these movements, kind of moving my hips in front of everyone. I just fucking got up. I don't know who was watching me, but it was just the only thing I could do. And I started to say those simple phrases in Spanish, in French, and in English. Kind of the basic words and verb forms I would say in French or Spanish, and then when I needed to get a little more complicated, I went into English. But it wasn't even about being complicated. It was just about flowing. I never paused to find a word or a breath. It just came out as what it was, which was a theme about I need to create. I need to create with intention. I need to be here with intention, with every word, with every movement, with intention, with control, with responsibility. And then I would start to and then I would start to just fade away, and they would stop the music. And when they would stop the music, it snapped me back, and I would keep going. And they would start again. And then I would kind of fade away. And then they'd start it again. They would stop. And then when I'd come back, they would start again. And dude, it was like we had planned it. Or they were playing a trick on me, like they knew. And so then we finished, and I was like, thank you. And then I went and sat down like this. The shaman was there. They were all, and I felt like I had graduated. I felt like I had graduated into a new form, that I was allowed to be up there with them, and I sat there. And then my buddy and the shaman were kind of talking back and forth. Do you think he's gonna do it? Because I was coming over to get the guitar. I picked up the guitar, like I was gonna start playing and singing, because that was like my next progression. I did my basic beat, but I'm a fucking musician, man. I can fucking play guitar. I know my chord progressions. I'm gonna fucking do a song. I've been hanging out on Big Island, but I just didn't have the strength. Every time I was about, it was like, okay, no, this isn't the type of sound that's supposed to come out right now, and then I just kind of held it there, and I put it back. And I sat there, and then they were whispering, is he gonna do it? You think he's gonna do it? I don't know. And then I would look over at them, and they would stop, like they weren't ever talking. And then I look back, and I'm like, it's almost different. I think he's gonna do it. Do you think he's gonna do it? And I'm like, oh my God, they're fucking with me. They're fucking with me. Nothing. They're not moving. They're not looking at each other. And I'm like, these motherfuckers. And I try to laugh. I try to be like, haha, guys. I tried to. I was tripping balls, but I like they're fucking tripping with me. And then I look away. It doesn't happen again. And then finally, like, Jordan, do you think you're gonna play some music, or we're gonna play some other music now? So sunset was happening, so they were putting on the soundtrack. And then I just went back and laid down, and I was just in joy and bliss. And I don't know if you've ever sang before or just allowed yourself to come out, but in general, it's such a freeing feeling to use your voice. It's a simple metaphor, but it goes a long way. Use your voice. You feel so good after. And That's probably why I like to do talks like this, because I feel good using my voice. Dude. And then the Argentinians started playing their Chilean Andean music. I'll put some in here in the background. Started playing their music and it was magical. Inspired me to make a music video with them after. And then throughout the morning, I ended up like talking to almost every person there, sharing experiences. Mine seemed to be the most intense, because in the way I experience intense. Then I practiced yoga, did like an epic handstand. Everyone else started practicing yoga. That was great. Then everyone else went to sleep, and I couldn't sleep. I can't sleep after I'm jazzed. And I ended up sitting on the toilet for, I want to say like an hour. I had stuff come out of me, and I hadn't eaten in at least that was that morning, a day and a half. I had stuff come out of me, so much come out of me that I was like, this cannot be possible. This like literally cannot be possible. There's not enough stuff inside my gut. But it came out, and like I said, you feel like $1 million after. It just gets everything out. So it's an unpleasant night, but it's like, if you look at, I don't know if it cures cancer or like really intense things, but I imagine, for me, it helps some really intense things that I could imagine one day transforming into something like cancer. I think that's a big cause of cancer, stress, right? So if the medicine's helping you deal with something that stresses you out frequently and helps you create tactics to manage that stress at a healthy level, then that's a good medicine. But we're so accustomed to medicines as taking the pain away, helping us hide, even though it's an experience to heal from anything. It's an experience. I've been reading this, pirate book, and a sea serpent cuts off his leg, and then it gets infected, this and that, and then they have to cut off more of it, and then sew it up, and all this shit. I don't care if you're on anesthetics. Healing from something like that's gotta fucking hurt. That's just part of healing. Eventually, it doesn't hurt anymore. It just maybe it might be numb or sensitive, but you're alive and you're healed. That's a weird comparison, cutting your leg off to ayahuasca, because I think, I don't know, are you fully healed after your leg comes off? It seems like you're subtracting, so it's not as good, but maybe you're just a new person. You lose a leg, you become a new person. I always think about that when I get on a plane or a bus. I'm like, if this is the last time I have my whole body intact, I'm just going to remember, like, sweet. I'm grateful for this body and being healthy. I heard Travis Barker's story about the airplane crash and all his burns. Props to Travis Barker, man. And the way he talks about that, the way he manages it, the way he managed it, like, you gotta be grateful for what you have, because you never fucking know when everything might just change. And everything changed that night on ayahuasca. Well, I'm running on an hour now. This is crazy. I think I'm gonna vape a little more of this. And I think I'm just gonna fucking upload this without putting it into I was gonna put it into a video. I'm starting a series soon. About, I guess, the travels I'm doing this year, or intending to do this year, and the adventures made from it. It's a big mission for perception travel. We're designing a social platform. I got a big team of developers on board. Not a big team of developers, but like a competent and experienced team of developers on board. And they're going to work on it, and that's awesome. And everything's just like super inspiring on that front for me. And as usual, I have nowhere to be, nowhere to call home. But I have people that I work with that can help move the project forward in different realms. So just like 2017, I'm going to be doing this again. Starting here in LA. When I started in Buenos Aires, I'm here in LA, then I'm going to London, then I'm probably going to Poland, then I'm probably going to Vienna, then we're trying to make this trip to Kenya happen, then back to Hungary, and then I don't know. But the point is cool project. I'm also trying to get my life back on track and just be direct with my intentions again. And my intentions are to share myself and make videos and shit, tell stories. And I didn't really do that last year. Not like I don't know, I didn't really do that, so. Yeah, so I'm starting a series now, a new season on this channel. It should be pretty fun. I'm not really sure what it will be. It might turn into a lot of me just talking like this, but I think that's cool. I think that's one thing I've learned about content creators and personalities is that at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what your format is, because when you're designing a project, a media consumable project, you think, okay, what format should we use in order to appeal to the audience, the demographic, the people that are going to watch this? But I'm looking at it just like, you know what, the format that it becomes, you're either going to like it or you're not. You're going to watch it or you're not. Because I think at the end of the day, it turns into the person. It's just the person. And the person showing you how they express themselves on Instagram for 10 seconds or in a vlog for an hour or whatever. A cut up story of the last week of their life. Takes 20 minutes to tell. Takes 5 minutes to tell. That's part of who they are. My brother's here in LA. We'll get him on here. He's such the fucking man. He expresses himself so well in so many different ways, comedic ways. Instagram, YouTube, tweets. He's a comedian. At 1 minute, at 256 characters. I think that's how many tweets are. 15, 20 minute YouTube short series. He's doing it. Stand up. I'm super inspired by my little brother. This concludes this video. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.